Welcome back to Russell Does Stuff. This is my YouTube channel where I work Mondays for 6 hours. I work on Tuesdays for 6 hours, and what I don't get finished up, I'll take care of on Wednesday. I'm out here in my shop cooking dinner, and I got a little further to go on this chicken that I'm cooking. And we're having a thunderstorm and stuff. And I don't like being in the house all the time, so I'll sit out here during thunderstorms and rain and stuff and cook and sip a beer and relax. The title of this video is called Something a Wealthy Man Told Me Once. When I was 14 years old, I was offered a job working at my friend's parents' business, and they were very wealthy. They were probably one of the wealthiest people in the neighborhood at that time. A lot of wealthy people moved into the area later on in the years, but as far as wealthy and rich people go, they were up there with maybe Hugh Culverhouse and stuff like that. They owned a lot of property. They owned communities and developments and stuff. And they hire a mowing crew from June to like August 28th or so. And it's mostly teenage kids. And I was 14 at the time, and there was no labor laws back then. So it was just totally normal that kids were working during the summer. I was always doing something during the summer. I had lawn businesses and stuff, and my friend, he asked me if I wanted to go to work for his dad. I'm being recruited by this guy's son. He didn't tell me what we were going to do. Okay. So I asked my parents, and they said it was fine. So my dad would drop me off at close to 8 o'clock, because we started at 8. We had devotions, and then we were done at 5. And then he'd pick me up at 5 o'clock. So now my dad's a prisoner of picking me up and dropping me off all summer. So from 8 to 5, we had a 30-minute lunch break at like 11:30 to noon. We had devotions in the morning that lasted about 15 minutes. And then we tried to finish up the labor around 4 o'clock so that way we could do maintenance on all the equipment. So my surprise was this. I was hired on to do the mowing of these developments and properties and communities. I found myself on a mowing crew. And I liked it. I liked to cut grass. It was good stuff. And at 14 years old, and I was making money, and I was going to save it up for a truck, and I was hanging out with my friend and his friend and their friends. See, it was kind of a networking thing. So he knew me. He knew someone else that knew someone else. So there was like 4 or 5 of us on this mowing crew. And it was serious business. We were very competitive. And normally there was an older kid, an older teenager in our group who was the leader. And he had the two-way radio, the Motorola, in case anybody needed anything or somebody got hurt, he could call in to one of the maintenance supervisors. Now, this isn't a very complex story, but it could be. There's a lot of detail and stuff to this mowing crew story. And there's some nuggets in this story. We didn't have water breaks. We had a small lunch break. We worked from 8 until 5. We gave it 100%. We didn't want to let anyone on our crew down. we were in competition with each other to see who could mow the fastest. And I would say it was probably one of the better times of my life. I was on the mowing crew for probably 4 summers. And it was something that molded me into the person that I am today. The only time you ever interacted with supervisors or any other employees of this business was if you got your mower stuck or you had mower damage that needed attention right away. Normally at the end of the day, the mower damage would be written down on a clipboard that literally said mower damage. You put the house where you did the damage at, what happened, and then one of the supervisors would delegate it to one of the maintenance guys to go fix. I broke a sliding glass door once. I shot a pebble into the door, and that's just not something you can fix around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was radioed in when it happened. I think it happened in the morning. So the owner of this company, we very rarely ever saw my friend's father because he was negotiating deals. He was solving problems. He was buying businesses. He was starting banks. He was buying property. He was in meetings all the time. And after the meetings and all the wheeling and dealing was over, he would pop out into the field once in a while. And we're exhausted, and he's fresh, just bouncing off of a meeting. And he never did any of the mowing or the weed eating or the edging or the blowing off and stuff like that. Once in a while, he would grab one of us and have a conversation with us, and some words of encouragement or some words of correction. He dressed like Sam Walton. He was a big man. He had a gruff voice, and he commanded respect. My first interaction with him was one morning we were pulling weeds. He pulled me aside. I thought I was in trouble, and he gave me a raise of 10 cents more an hour. I guess I was doing a good job, and he noticed that I was doing a good job. So 8 hours times 10 cents times 5 was what, 160? I thought I was in high cotton. I got a 10-cent raise. I didn't understand it. I think I was 14 years old. I didn't get it. But I was singled out that day, and I was rewarded with a 10-cent raise. I'll never forget it. I have a photographic memory. I remember exactly where I was at when he did that. And then you wouldn't see him for a while. You're working your butt off for somebody you don't ever see and you don't ever talk to. He was like your dad. You didn't want to disappoint. You didn't want to let this guy down. He commanded respect from us teenagers. Interesting. I remember a few summers had passed, and they wanted me to stick around. I was a good worker. So in the wintertime, after school, I was driving by this time. I would show up my truck, and I'd find where the supervisor or the maintenance guys were, and I'd join up with them, and I'd help them finish their day up. And I remember one time where we were in between jobs, and he shows up. The guy who gave me 10 cents once, an hour extra, shows up. He looks at me and goes, "Get that man a broom." I'm like, man, I'm all sweaty. I just got done like moving all this dirt and stuff, and I just needed a breather. He didn't look at it like that. He looked at it like, there's a man, I'm paying a man, and he's not doing anything, and we need to find him something to do. And he went in the building and he's calling out the supervisor's name. We need to get this man something to do. So I'm literally out sweeping the streets. He jumps in his truck, which doubled as an office truck, and drove away. After he left, I was done sweeping up what he wanted done. And I talked to the maintenance guy, and I was like, wow, what's that about? He goes, you got time to lean? You got time to clean. Time to lean, time to clean. I could never forget it. I thought he was going to have pity on me, but he didn't. He's like, hey, he doesn't want to see a man standing around. He's paying your salary. You need to work right up until 5 o'clock. Guilty or not, I learned something. Maybe a month or so goes by, and I run into him again. He pulls me aside, and he looks me right in the eyes, and he says, if I profit a quarter off of you a week, it is worth it to have you around. I'm just standing there like, I think that's good. All right, you guys making 25 cents off of me a week. All right, I'm profitable, I'll never forget that either. I remember, like the next time I ran into him, this was with summer, like the fourth summer. I'm mowing around the office area and these other buildings, and I've been working hard all week. I think it was like Friday. He gets my attention. He pulls me off the mower. He puts his hand on my shoulder, and he looks me right in the eyes. He goes, it's time for you to go out into the world and make your own way. And again, I'm like, all right, what's that mean? I'm a teenage kid. I've only been driving for like 2 years, I still live at home. The guy's telling me I'm fired. I looked at him and said, I felt like Rocky Balboa. I'm like, can I finish out the day? And he said, yes, you can finish out the day. And then he grabbed my shoulder and he pulled me in tight and he said to me, where hard work and opportunity meet. And he turned around and he walked off. And I'm standing there like, I've been mowing all day. I got cut off shirts on, tan, no ear protection, hats, cool sunglasses, shorts. I'm standing there going, what the heck does that mean? So I got canned for a good reason. He wanted me to grow up and get out there and make something of myself. And I tried. I started an automotive supply business a few years later. I failed at that. I understood what he was telling me. It all made sense about 14 years ago. When hard work and opportunity meets, that's your opportunity. That's your time to shine. Somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I got this opportunity to make a bunch of money, to grow your business, to make your family more comfortable. You want in? Well, I'm not prepared, so I can't take advantage of that opportunity. I'll never forget that day. I liked working there. It was comfortable. I was getting a regular paycheck. I liked the devotions in the morning. I liked the people I was working with. I'm glad he did that. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without people like him. And that's the end of this story. I may bring him up in some other videos because he's still alive. And I called him a few years ago because now I'm a grown man. I don't know if he remembers me or not, but we had a good conversation. And I'll leave it at that. Well, this is Russell with Russell Does Stuff. And this is my YouTube channel. And I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button if you like the video and subscribe if you want to see more videos. And if you're just passing through, I appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one.